and then we can. All right. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining the University of Cincinnati Admit Students Next Steps webinars. We're very happy to have you here today and excited to go through what the next steps are from right now all the way to your arrival on campus and starting classes. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to start us off really quickly. Poll, and polls are just super informal. It's just for us to get to know each other and get to know who is a part of this presentation pretty much, just so you can know who's going to show up at UC. So I'm going to start this poll. It's just 4 questions, super fast. This isn't data collection or anything. It's just for fun, and I'll answer it with you. How big is your hometown? So where are you coming from? How many people live there? Is it small, medium, large? It's like, and then what sort of things you like to do for fun? You like games, sports, anything with friends? What kind of environment do you like the most? Do you like being outside in nature, exploring? Do you like swimming on beaches, exploring in cities? And then how's the weather in your hometown? I guess rain, snow doesn't make a lot of sense for that one. It could be cold and snowy, but oh well. All right, people are about halfway done. So I'm gonna give it like 30 more seconds, then we can move on. I'll stop the music. Make sure this is recording. Yes, it is. All right. 20 people, 21. All right, 10 seconds. 5 seconds. And we are done. So let's see who we have here today. And results with everyone. So people coming from quite a variety of background as far as what their hometown looks like, being a small town or large town. Cincinnati, just in case you're not aware, the city itself is medium-sized, so it's roughly 500,000 people, but around the city, greater Cincinnati is much larger, and it's a couple million people. So it's in between medium and large. So about average for where you guys are coming from. What do you like to do from friends? Also mixed, music, movies, games. There's a lot going on here. Fun fact, in the neighborhood of Clifton, where the University of Cincinnati is located, a new movie just debuted called The Private Eye. It had its world premiere there. So that's something some of you might have been interested in going to see. What environment do you like most? City, great, it's a city. But we also do have some hills. It's mostly hilly forests, and then there are mountains close by as well, Appalachian Mountains. And how's the weather in your hometown? A bit of a mix too. Some hot, some nice, some cold. Here, it's a little bit cold today. It's about 0 degrees Celsius. So luckily I'm inside, but it's been warming up. It was a lot colder last month. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and let's get on with the show. I'm going to share my screen here and not that one, this one. All right. Hopefully you all can see that. We're going to cover quite a few things. I'm going to try my best to enunciate and to be clear, but if you do have questions, please ask those questions at the end. You can write them in the chat, and then I'll make sure to take a lot of time to answer them. All right, let's get started. So first of all, congratulations to everyone on this call. You have all been admitted to the University of Cincinnati. You are all new Bearcats. We're very excited to have you here and very excited to welcome you in to the university and to make you a part of our Bearcat family. So congratulations. There are some individuals who you are able to meet with if you would like a one-on-one conversation with how these students' experiences has been at the University of Cincinnati, how they did the transition. And they are our international student ambassadors. We have Lily, Hanisha, and Temerbeck. They're all amazing. Have very good experiences here, and have a lot of experience helping students through the transition. This is not their first time being international student ambassadors, so they've pretty much seen it all, done it all. So we will be having virtual student ambassador one-on-one calls coming up in the near future. If you want to schedule one of those, I would recommend it. You can look on our website for those or send a message, and then we'll help you to schedule that. Right. So what are we going to talk about in this webinar? A lot of things. First, we're just going to do a brief overview of what co-op is again, since that is such an important part of many students' university experience, and we do receive a lot of questions about that. So I'm just going to cover it again in detail, what exactly it is and what it is not, so you have a better understanding. Following that, we're going to get into the most important things, which are these two portals here, the Bearcat Portal and the IBG Portal, or iBearcatGlobal Portal. Finally, at the end, we'll talk about costs, scholarships, that sort of things. But the main information to take away from this is the Bearcat Portal and the iBearcatGlobal Portal. So pay attention to those two. All right, co-ops. So when you come to the University of Cincinnati, there is something that we promise to give you as a student throughout your time here. And this is called the Bearcat Promise. By the time you graduate, you will have a degree in whatever you're studying. You'll have a prepared resume with experiences on it and a plan for your future. But you guys all know all this. You already applied, you were already admitted. So let's go into a little bit of the details of what that looks like. As far as the resume is concerned, all of our students have some sort of experience-based learning. Typically that's co-op, but for other programs or students who are in other programs like music or design or something like that, it might look a little bit differently. You do have the opportunity to complete many of these things, research, service learning, etc. For students in the College of Business and the College of Engineering, co-ops are mandatory. For many other programs, co-ops are optional, but highly recommended. Some programs in arts and sciences, and then some in CECH, or the College of Education, Criminal Justice, and Humanities. So let's go into those co-ops a little bit more, like I was saying. If you've seen any of our presentations before, you've probably seen these before, but I'll just go over it very quickly. Co-ops are working experiences that students will have where they are not in the classroom. They are working at a company full-time, earning money, gaining experience, working within that corporate environment or with that company to earn money, and then they return to school, take classes, etc. And it's alternating. So you'll work, then study, then work, then study. It is not at the same time. We are the nation's #1 co-op program, and that is why so many international students are attracted to us. A little bit more information about that. We do partner with many large companies around the world and around the United States. These are where some of our students have gone. The ones that are not on here, just for my own background, sharing, I studied aerospace engineering, and I had classmates that worked at NASA. They had their co-ops there, and they graduated and they end up working at NASA. Now, obviously, that's maybe a little bit more complicated for international students, but just goes to show we work with everyone from startup companies who don't have any reputation to the highest reputation companies. And one last note on co-ops, we do help students to get co-ops. Just recently, this past week, we had a career fair, and many of these large companies were on campus scouting for students, trying to find people to work on co-ops for the upcoming semester. So if you have questions for that, please just put them in the chat and I'll answer those at the end. To continue on to the most important section. So these two portals, there is the Bearcat Portal and the iBearcatGlobal Portal. I know the two names are kind of similar. It's kind of weird, but this is something that you want to get used to being a university student in the United States. There are lots of these portals, and portal is just a fancy word for website. There's these websites you have to go to, you have to log in, and there'll be lots of information there. Some other portals you'll find are, there's a portal called Canvas, which is where you'll access your classes and your grades and homework assignments and things like that. There are other ones for student organizations and clubs and things like that, but we're not worried about those right now. Right now, this portal is just for you to complete what you need to complete to come to the University of Cincinnati. So portal #1, Bearcat Portal. You can access it through bearcatportal.uc.edu, and you should, I'm pretty sure everyone, once you're admitted, should receive an email that has your UC username 6+2. Apologies. Once you confirm your admissions, then you'll receive an email, which is your 6+2. 6+2 is just a username, which takes some letters from your name, and then that is like your login information. For example, mine is HIGGINSO. So you'll get that username, and then you'll also, in the same email, it'll tell you what your password is. And if you haven't logged on, your password is this right here, the UC exclamation point, and then your birthday, month, day, year. And they'll ask you to change your password. If you don't change it over a period of time, you will get locked out. So make sure to change your password. There are students every year that don't change their password or something, and they end up getting locked out. If that happens, just contact us and we can help you. Apologies, please contact the IT department so they can help you get access to the portal. But if you're having issues with them also, we can connect you to the right person. So you get your login through your email, you log into the portal, that's great. What is it? What are you going to see? Something that is a concern worldwide, but especially here in the United States, I fear, is securing your identity. So that is something that we have issues with, are people trying to steal identity. So you will need to download this app. It's called Duo Mobile. It's very, very easy. All you'll do is log into it, like with your username here, and then your password. And then it asks you, it sends a push notification to your phone, and that asks you to verify that it is you indeed logging in and not some evil person from some other country who wants to steal your information, money. Maybe they're from, I don't know where. But that is something that's necessary anytime that you do something with UC. It will always send you a push notification to your phone so you can log in. All right, so you log in, you do the push. This is what the portal looks like, the Bearcat portal. It gives some different information about yourself, just information that you put on your actual application. So it verify that you're looking at the right student. If there are any issues, you can ask. But then beyond that, most importantly, it gives you tasks that you are supposed to do. These tasks are things that you must do in order to come to the University of Cincinnati. Some of them are on the side here, but we're going to go through them one by one. Now, besides that, it will also have a little section here, which is about your finances. And the finances are estimations. These are not real money. This is not real money. This is not the bill that you pay right now. This is a guess. If you were to show up and school starts in the fall, what is our best estimate or guess as to what you might pay? This is usually accurate, but it might not be accurate if something like your scholarship has not been applied to that number. So if you know that you got a scholarship, but this number looks wrong, or you click on it and it doesn't say anything about a scholarship, don't worry. It just means that the system hasn't processed it yet. It doesn't have that, but we know you have a scholarship. You know how you have the scholarship, you have the piece of paper. We'll talk about money in a little bit more detail later on, but that's where that is. So the first step when you get into this portal is to confirm your admission. You can do that, if I'm not mistaken, you can also do that through the initial website that you applied, through. So if you go to your application, there will be a nice big red button on there as well that also says to confirm your admission, but you can do it through the Bearcat portal if you have not already done so. Once you do that, once you're a confirmed student, you'll receive emails to your personal email telling you to set up your University of Cincinnati email address. You might have noticed by now, but if you haven't, I'm going to say it very clearly. Email is how we communicate. It is the most important form of communication here. While you're a student in the University of Cincinnati, always check your email. That's how your professors will talk to you. That's how other students will try to communicate with you. That's where if you have issues with your visa, or if you have issues with finances, or can't go to the gym for some reason, or who knows what. It'll go to your email, so make sure to check that. You'll get this email to set up within 10 days of confirming your admissions. And there will also be information coming in from housing, orientation, international services, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very important. I recommend check your email once per day. All right. Whew. So we're in the portal. We confirmed our admissions and we're in. What are the different tasks available? So they're right here in the screenshot right in front of us, these main ones. I'll just read through them quickly. So virtual advising prep session, pre-enrollment questionnaire, Bearcats bound orientation, and then applying for housing. And at the bottom here, it says math placement. We are no longer doing this, so it's an old screenshot. It's not on there, but I'll go through the first four. Virtual advising prep session. So everyone will have an academic advisor, which will help them to register for classes. So if you're admitted to computer science, you're not out there on your own. You'll have the ability to meet with an advisor, talk with them one-on-one like I'm doing, and then schedule classes in that moment for something that you want to take and that helps to advance you towards graduation, towards your degree. So that's what that is. It's super easy. Just click register and the time that it takes. Next, we have the pre-enrollment questionnaire. This is just a few questions. It's not, I think it's like 3 to 5 minutes. I took it once. It's very similar to other information. It's just trying to get an idea of what your level of English is. If you want to self-place yourself, I know that we collected a test of English from everyone, or we have something related to that, but it's more just self-placement into math courses or into English courses. So say, for example, you think that you have a apologies. I would just recommend going through this questionnaire. There might be a few questions about English placement or math placement that ask you to self-identify, but those are looked at in conjunction with your scores already. So apologies, please scratch that. It will probably just have a few more biographical questions, but that's it. It's really not a big deal. It just takes a few minutes. There is one that was skipped over here, which I want to mention, Bearcats bound orientation. On this, it says in person. However, all of you, if you happen to be in Cincinnati early, or you have family living here or something, you're welcome to come to in-person Bearcats bound orientation. But obviously, you all are international students, so you're probably not in Cincinnati. So this will be virtual Bearcats bound orientation. And orientation is getting acclimated to the university. So learning where the library is, learning where the cafeterias are, learning where mental health services and resources are located, learning how to find your co-op advisor, how to find your academic advisor, what the different buildings are, where your classes are, et cetera, et cetera. So it's orienting yourself to the university. I highly recommend this. The first week might be a little bit difficult, if not, but there are students that manage either way. Next, apply for housing. This is the most important button on this entire screen, on this entire portal. If you do not, I recommend you apply for housing as soon as possible because housing is limited, it is competitive. So if you want a good place to live, a good dormitory, this is where you should go. When you click on the button apply for housing, it will take you to the housing portal and you'll be able to look through different housing options. There are different types of housing, of course. There's things like Jack and Jill style apartments or basically apartments where you're able to live on your own, or dormitories where you have 4 people in a suite and then a little mini kitchen, or 2 people in a room living on a floor with 10 people sharing a bathroom. There's a lot of different variety of options and prices. So I recommend take your time, look through this portal and look through whatever makes the most sense for you financially, and then also what experience you want to have at the university. There are also some different housing communities like international, I'm sorry, what was the name of it? Global Community, which, for example, allows you to live with other international students all together. And there are other ones such as engineering communities. They're called LLCs. And if you want to live in one of those, this would be the opportunity to click them. And there's information about that. You can read through it, etc. No math placement, as I said before. So I'm going to skip that and move on. That is everything in this Bearcat portal. It has a few tasks for you to do. Housing, once again, most important one, get it done by May 1st. That is the deadline. If you don't finish it by then, you are not guaranteed housing. So no matter what, get that housing done. I'm going to say it 2 or 3 more times, just really emphasizing housing is the most important thing. Get that done. Okay, so there's that portal. The second portal is iBearcat's Global Services Portal, or IBG. Now, to this point in the admissions process, you've been working with our office, the International Admissions Office. Admissions are the people that talk to you, tell you about the university, and then take you all the way to the point where you become a student. When you become a student, we do not work with you anymore in admissions. Instead, International Services works with you. This is a different office, and they work with current students and make sure that they are in the United States legally, that they have the correct paperwork. They help them plan international student events, et cetera, et cetera. So this is your first introduction to this team, to this department, International Services. This is their portal, IBG, iBearcat's Global, and in it is everything related to your immigration to the United States. So we're talking about things like your I-20, your visa, everything that you need to legally come to the United States and be a student and stay legal. So what does this portal look like? You'll get an email to sign up for this portal, or you can also just look for it, and you'll want to go down here where it says New Student Scholar Login, and it'll ask you to log in with your university ID and a PIN, and then your date of birth. So this information you'll get via email once you confirm. There will be a few forms for you to complete, the pre-arrival e-form, which asks you a few questions, basically. Just so I don't forget, I don't think it's in this PowerPoint, but we do have services which transfer you from the airport to the University of Cincinnati. And so just keep that in mind. We do have transport services available. Not the appropriate place to say it, but I just don't want to forget for everyone. Okay, so we go into this portal and you log in. It's very simple. You put in your ID number, your date of birth, and the PIN, which is in the email. That's it. Great. And it's very similar to the other portal. There are some things that it's asking you to do, and then it gives you some information as well. This is the most important thing for you to do, the pre-arrival e-form. It's going to ask you things such as when you estimate your flight is going to come in, some other general questions, things like that. When you get that completed, or it will also ask you, I don't know, that's that. Once you finish that, you'll use this service to get your I-20. So you complete your e-form, and then the university will send you your I-20. One of the other things that's in this pre-arrival e-form, sorry, is asking you for your financial information. So this is where you'll have to upload that. So you complete that, and the University of Cincinnati will approve you to get an I-20. So they'll say, okay, your finances look great. This is fabulous. You have the money, you've been admitted, you have your scholarship. Everything that you sent us looks perfect. We can work with you and try and help you to get a visa to get into the country. So you fill in all that information. The University of Cincinnati will then upload your I-20 here. I-20 is the name of the document that the university provides to you. We give you this document, and then you will need to schedule an interview with the United States Embassy or consulate in your country to be able to get an F1 student visa. So you schedule this interview with the embassy, you go to the embassy, and the embassy will ask, do you have an I-20? And you'll say, yes, I have an I-20, and you give them the I-20 from this website. They'll look through it, they'll look through your finances, and they will say either, yes, here's your student visa, congratulations, you can come to Cincinnati, or they will say no. It depends. I will say do this as soon as possible. Do it as fast as you can, because for a lot of countries, there's a very long wait period to be able to have the interview with the embassy. Because if you think about it, all the students in your country are going to try and go to the United States or any other country at the same time. So it's very much be as fast as you can to get in line, to get that interview, to come to the United States, to come to Cincinnati. So try and do this as fast as you can. For us approving the I-20s, it's usually very quick, about a week or so. So once you get that done, we'll get you the I-20 in about a week, and then you'll be able to schedule your interview, do your interview, get your visa, and then you're good. You can come to the United States. So when you have the interview, I'm sorry, when you get the visa, there's still a few more things on this portal that will ask for you to do. There is a new international student checklist. Looks like I got ahead of myself a little bit. This is where it's asking you for your immigration documents. If you have a dependent, someone who's a child or a minor or someone who's depending on you, this is where you would provide that information. And then just make sure to communicate with international services through this IBG portal. Just upload everything that the embassy gives you, all of your paperwork, and they will let you know if you're missing anything else. Once you arrive to UC, there's also a check-in that they want you to do to make sure that you didn't have any problems with your flight, to make sure, I don't know, you're not having any major issues and you don't need more help. All right, so if you are currently in the United States transferring from another university, there may be some of you who are doing that or who are studying intensive English at some sort of institution, then you'll need to transfer your CVIS record. CVIS record is your academic record at universities within the United States. So that's what that is. If you don't have that, don't worry about it. But that's this next section. And then again, there will just be some questions trying to make sure, trying to collect information so they know exactly how to best help you. So things like what's your passport from? Here's a picture of my passport. This is the visa that I got, how long it is, et cetera, et cetera. Some more questions. Funding. Did you get a scholarship? If you got a scholarship, upload the picture of that scholarship. It's pretty standard and straightforward. But if you have any of these questions, international services, it is their job to help you with this. So please feel free to reach out to them to ask about any of these questions. Your territory manager can probably also help with them. Typically, they've seen a lot of this already. All right, so you made it all the way in. You've arrived in the United States. Congratulations. You can check in then. And then once you check in, that's pretty much it. You might have additional communications or updates if there's something specific. Like, for example, if they find some sort of irregularity with your immigration status, then they'll communicate with you by email and might have you do something else in the portal, but that's pretty much it. Once you get here, you're good. If you have questions about this IBG services portal, please feel free to put them in the chat, or we also have regular presentations hosted by international services where they go through this entire portal step by step in a lot more detail and do a case study, like an example, step by step. So you could go through with them, ask all of your questions then. So if this is kind of confusing or I went too fast, please sign up for that, join them. They would love to meet you and get to know you as well. All right, last topic, and then I'll have time for questions, is finances. So here are our estimated finances. These were finances the previous year, 2 years ago, actually, a year and a half ago. They didn't change that much this past academic year. We still don't know exactly what it will look like for 24-25, but it'll be pretty close to this. Most of you were probably admitted to the Uptown campus. Some of you may have been admitted to the Blue Ash College, which is a regional campus. I'm going to go through this quickly just because you probably have heard this before, but if not, ask me questions to clarify at the end. So looking at this vertically, Uptown campus here on the left is where most of you are admitted. Like I said, the cost tuition, what you need to pay to the university to attend classes to study, is $30,000 per year. That is $15,000 per academic semester. If you are on co-op, you do not have to pay this full tuition amount. So that's $15,000 per semester. If you take 12 credit hours or 18 credit hours, it doesn't matter. The tuition is the same. Besides the tuition, there are living expenses. Living expenses are what are estimated to be the cost of living here in the city of Cincinnati. So it includes food, includes dormitory or residency where you're living, things like entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. First-year students are required to live on campus. So during your first year, you would need to pay this to the University of Cincinnati to live on campus. However, after that first year, or if you happen to have family who live in Cincinnati or in Ohio or something like that, you would not need to pay this necessarily to the University of Cincinnati. So that's not something that you'd have to pay. It would still be cost of living, and you'd have to pay for a dormitory or something like that, but it wouldn't necessarily be to us, the university. Health insurance, if you have an international health insurance that's recognized in the United States, we can accept that. If not, we do offer the University of Cincinnati health insurance for $2,400 per year. So this is for 1 year, the full cost. Tuition, again, $15,000 per semester. Living expenses, $18,000 for the full year. If you're a regional campus, the regional campus programs you can only do this for 2 years, and then you would transition to main campus for the last 2 years. The tuition there is about half as much, but the scholarships are also a lot less. All right. While we're on finances, scholarships. So we have sent out outreach scholarships to the students who have earned them. And those are based off a holistic review of everything that you've sent us. We are able to reconsider those potentially if you have not received the maximum dollar amount, or if there's something, if you provide us with additional information, like additional test of English scores or updated grades or something like that, then we could potentially review it. If there's a drastic change or a very significant change, then we could update your scholarship based off of that. However, 95% of those are not going to change. So whatever outreach scholarship offer you've received, that's probably what's going to be moving into the future. If you have not yet received a scholarship, you may still be sent a scholarship. There are some students we're still reviewing, but if you received your admission decision back on the release day, January 22nd, all of those have been released already. What else? Some students may be contacted for additional scholarship opportunities, and that is not something that you can apply for. It could come from something like the honors colleges. For example, the Lindner College of Business has an honors college, and students who are admitted into that program are eligible to receive scholarships for, I think, up to $10,000 per year, something like that. But again, it is the colleges themselves who would be contacting you, or our office itself, which would be contacting you regarding additional scholarship opportunities. So at this time, there is nothing that you can apply for through our office. However, there are external scholarship opportunities that are available through our website outside of UC, if you can find them. I'm sorry, you can find them outside of UC. We do list a lot of those external scholarship opportunities on our website. So if you think money's a serious concern, I would recommend going to our website, looking through those opportunities, those options, seeing which ones make sense for you, and then applying to those. All right. If you have questions about scholarships or finances, please ask those. Here are some important emails. I'm not going to belabor the point for a lot of these, just very briefly kind of what they are. International services, this is the one I was talking about the most in this presentation, I think, and this is the new office that helps you with immigration. So just kind of keep that name in your head, maybe write it down, international services, international students. That's the one to keep in mind. Besides that, housing has their own unique office, orientation has their own unique office, and then you're talking with us here in international admissions. So that's kind of how the different segments of the university that exist to help you throughout this process. And then enrollment services is just like a bigger umbrella for everything. So that doesn't matter. All right, that is all I have for you today. I'm going to go ahead and field your questions now. Here's some additional, I don't know, if you want to follow us on social media, you might learn something and you might see something cool as well. So here's some stuff here. I'll go ahead and take questions. All right, there's a question. Can you explain how I access the math placement test? So we do not currently have the math placement test anymore. That previously was something that we used for scholarshiping and for helping determine which level different students would place into as far as calculus or things like that. But we no longer do that. Instead, we do a holistic review of students, not looking just at test scores, but looking at their activities, their academic profile, et cetera, in order to determine what scholarships they're eligible for. So there is no math placement test anymore. It was on the screenshot, but it's old. We're not doing that. Next question. Please, are international students qualified for external scholarships? Yes, I mentioned this very briefly at the end. They are. External, by its definition, means not University of Cincinnati. So you can find some of those on the website. Beyond that, you can just look online, like United States scholarships for international students, and look on Google, and there's a lot. It's very competitive, but there's also a lot of scholarships. So take your time, put some work in. I definitely know international students who have gotten various scholarships, and we try our best to advertise those to students when we find them. Question, can we send updates on our application for better scholarship consideration? Yes, so I mentioned that at the very end. The two main things are probably going to be if you've improved your test of English or if you've improved your grades in school. Those are probably going to be the biggest factors. But yes, you can send updates and we will consider them for scholarship considerations. Question, is there a specific deadline for arrival at UC? This is a very good question. I did not mention this. So yes and no. Yes, you need to be here for when classes start. If you're late for classes, you fall behind and it seriously negatively affects you. And then there isn't a hard deadline. However, the absolute latest that you could probably arrive and not have serious consequences as far as affecting your immigration status, affecting your grades in school, would probably at the latest be like a week after classes start. But that's like, you need to communicate that with international services so they know that that's what's happening. I would recommend at the absolute minimum, get here before classes start. And then if not, you can arrive anywhere from like a couple of weeks before to when classes start. The dates have not been released for when housing opens, as far as when international students can start arriving, but as soon as that is, we will communicate that immediately. Next question. Besides the Bearcat Bound orientation, is there an orientation for international students? So the Bearcats Bound orientation I was talking about is virtual, and that's something that you can do immediately. In some years, there have been in-person orientations for international students. Obviously, COVID kind of made that a little bit weird. I do believe this upcoming year, there will be programming for international students. I'd say like 90% yes, but that would be something I'd have to verify. Next question. Do we need to pay the living expenses for first year semester-wise or at the start? So that's a very good question. Payment can be done either by semester or there are also payment plans which are monthly. So you can pay I'm still sharing my screen, I think. I am. Okay. So you can go to University of Cincinnati, monthly payment plans, and then there's all the information here too. Oh, big. And then this gives you details about how to sign up. I think there's a fee. Yeah, there's a $35 fee in order to pay in monthly installments instead. But if that makes more sense financially for you, then yeah, definitely do that. I'd read this website. Next question. Lost the chat. Check the Bearcat Portal. I'm not able to find estimated finances on there. What do I do? Huh, that's weird. It it should be in the top right corner. It should be there. If it's not there, I would just send an email with a screenshot to us, and then we'll help you diagnose that. It should be there. So just reach out, and then we'll help you figure it out. Does Cincinnati offer sports scholarships to international students? Yes, but they need to be, you need to be recruited by the coach. So generally speaking, there are only some sports that get scholarships. So for example, men's soccer does not, men's tennis does. Sorry. So some sports do give scholarships, some sports don't, but you have to make the team. You have to try out, make the team, etc. At this point, the coaches probably have already identified who they want on their team for the upcoming year, but there is a thing as called walk-on, where you can try out for the team, make the team as a walk-on, meaning they don't expect you to arrive, and then you arrive and make the team. And then in theory, that can also lead to scholarship. So it is something that happens, but and it's a little bit complicated process. I would reach out to the coach if you're interested in that. And there's you can just type in like University of Cincinnati, athletics, and you can go through that portal to try and get that information. Okay, next. Will CLEP exams give me credits? Whoa, that's a good question. I have to look quickly. CLEP. You mean advanced credits, transfer credits? I'd have to check. I don't remember off the top of my head. I've definitely seen it. I believe the answer is yes. If you send an email to me, Om Patel, I'll go ahead and write my message here or my email in the chat for everyone, and I'll get back to you with an answer on credits. Okay, back to other questions. What percentage of the tuition should an international student pay before going for the visa interview? Great question. 0. So tuition is not due until you actually start taking classes. So tuition is due the first day of classes. If you do not pay it, you don't need to pay anything before then, basically. Tuition will also include the bill will also include your housing, your meal plan, anything else that might be an expense or a fee related to the university. But again, you don't need to pay that until you actually start using the services once you show up here. But for the visa interview, you don't have to pay anything here in advance. However, what the visa adjudicators in the United States consulate or embassy are looking for is your ability to survive for 1 year financially. So they're looking for this total number. So anything that you have that adds up to that, so scholarships or savings in the bank account, is what they're going to be looking for, is that number. But what do you actually have to physically pay? Nothing. What is the average pay through co-ops at the College of Engineering? Great question. Wow, you got a couple of thumbs up too. People are interested in that. So it depends on what you're actually studying. So the engineering programs, like electrical engineering, computer science, aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering, et cetera, those are probably going to pay a little bit higher than something like mechanical engineering technology or I don't know, automation or electrical engineering technology or things like that are a little bit easier to enter the program and have a little bit lower demand. So for those students that are in those higher paying programs and the ones that are a little bit more competitive, It also depends on what company you work for. You asked for average. So here we advertise an average of 10,000. For engineering students, I think this is a little bit low and a little bit dated. I think nowadays it's probably closer to like 13,000 maybe. But in my class, I studied aerospace engineering like 6, 7 years ago. It's a while now. But there were some students that were earning like a lot of money. Obviously, they were working at really impressive companies and they had amazing resumes and really good experience, but they were probably earning twice that much. So nowadays it might be even more. But again, it all depends on what the company is. The companies that are listed here are going to pay a lot more money than a startup company. If you work at a startup, it's probably going to be lower than average or average for engineering students. Next question. How hard is it for international students to find co-ops? This is a very good question as well. So the main factor that would affect an international student's ability to get a co-op is if they need a security clearance. Security clearances exist for companies or jobs that are considered vital to the United States domestic security, and they don't want internationals in that. So for example, aerospace engineering, a lot of that, if you're working on like rocket design or something like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have an international student do that. And just for national defense reasons, it would be the same in any country. So companies that require security clearances are ones that are more difficult to, well, impossible to get co-ops at for international students. Outside of that, so that reduces kind of a segment of the available companies. Outside of that, it's pretty much normal. You would have the same chances as a domestic student, as far as my experience has been, as far as my understanding is. I have lots of international friends that have done co-ops at all sorts of companies related to design, engineering, et cetera, et cetera. Will CLEP exams give me credits? Oh, I'm so sorry, Opatal. I still don't know the answer to that question. When do classes start for the fall semester? August something. University of Cincinnati calendar. Yeah, I should probably know that, shouldn't I? I think it's like August. It's probably going to be August 19th this year. Yeah, so it doesn't look like, oh, here's fall 24. It is posted. August 26th, so I was off by a week. Okay. Next question. How long does I-20 take after confirmation? Will it be issued immediately or close to deadline date? Obviously, this is the busy time for them, but in the past, they've usually had a turnaround time about 1 week to 2 weeks. So once you confirm and once you fill in all your information, provide your finances, et cetera, they should issue that within a week or two. So it should be pretty close, pretty fast. Typically, they keep that going really fast. That's how it's been historically. I don't know, in theory, it can always change, but what is the average pay through co-ops for mathematics major? I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Again, it depends on what company you work for and what you're doing. So there are probably some companies that pay very well and others that don't. I'd imagine it's close to the average, though. Probably pays less than something like engineering. Does UC offer, but sorry, still on that thought, you might actually be able to get an engineering co-op, though, if that's something you're interested in. So it all depends on what the actual job is, probably average. Does UC offer pre-med courses for students aspiring to pursue a medical career? Great question. It is being an international student and wanting to study medicine in the United States is very complicated or difficult. So most American universities don't offer admission to medical school for international students. So if you want to be a doctor in the United States, like it's extremely, extremely difficult. It's possible, but extremely difficult. I would recommend perhaps reconsidering that path. However, per your question, yes, we do have something called a pre-med track. So there are not specific, you don't have to study anything specifically to enter medical school, but we do offer a track. So all the courses that you would need to take to prepare to be successful in medical school. It's a little bit complicated and confusing, so I'm sorry if I didn't do justice to your question, but you can go to our website and read more about pre-med pathways, the pre-med track, and just kind of learn about what it looks like in the United States. Next question. Who do I email my updates? I sent some updates to my territory manager, Sanjay, but he said you can't send updates after you submit your application back in November. What should you do? So imagine the updates that you're referring to might be things like updated grades or new test scores or things like that. We, depending on what your scholarship is and what your situation is, we probably should be accepting those documents and then using them for reconsideration. It might be difficult with the volume of students, but worst case scenario, if that doesn't work, send an email to our office, the International Admissions Office, which I'll put the email back on the screen here, and then one of us will take a look at it. So if that doesn't work, just send an email to us here, and then someone in our office will take a look at it. Next. I'm an international student, but US citizen. I'm not able to complete the FAFSA form. Is it required? Is my scholarship decision made or not? All right, that complicated question. Okay. The FAFSA form is required for US citizens. Your scholarship decision may or may not be affected based on where your residency is. If your residency is international, that's what would most affect it. If your residency is in Cincinnati or in the tri-state area, perhaps it could be lowered and it would be a different amount, which would affect your scholarship. So it's a little bit tricky. I would like to share with you, Viraj, the name of the contact. It probably would help you out the most. Her name is Lynn Hickerud. So I'm going to go ahead and share that everyone for global nomads, international students with US citizenship. Okay, so I would look for her, just look for her name on our website. You'll see her email, and then she's our expert. She'll be able to help you out the most with that question. Next question. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of questions. That's good. That's good. Or maybe I didn't do a good job explaining. How do we contact student ambassadors? I'm going to go ahead and put their information back on the screen as well. Oh, I think this link is up to date. If you go to our website, you'll be able to schedule a virtual call with them. And here it is. I'll also share this link here. But if you just looked, you'd be able to do that. All right. So that website. And then if that doesn't work, I imagine it would, but also feel free to just email and I'll connect you with them. Okay, next question. Getting lost in the questions here a little bit, sorry. Okay, here we go. Can you explain the credit-based education system at UC? As in my country, we do not follow the credit system. Am I supposed to attend every single class related to my major minor? How do I earn credit? All right. And I'm just going to keep answering all these questions. If you guys feel like staying or not, I'll take all the time needed to answer everything. But if you need to go, like I know we're way over time. So thank you everyone, but I'll just keep going. So if you go to the website, you move some things. Okay, and then you look at major and programs, and let's say you're a student in, I don't know, you're doing your bachelor's in, well, I'll just pick the first thing, accounting. what the heck? Accounting. You go to learn more. All right, in here, it will show your curriculum. You open that up, and this is what you will see. So in the top right corner, it says credits 120. Basically, in order to get your degree, you need two things. You need the minimum number of credits. Credits are like the value of each class, and you add them up, and by the end, you need 120. Besides that, you also need to complete these specific classes. So you have to complete these classes, these classes, these classes, etc. So these are the specific ones you need to take. And then in these sections, it gives you, they're like electives, so you can take your choice of classes. But the ones that have numbers and names are the ones that you'll need to take. So it gives recommendations for what to do during your first year, second year, etc. But then you basically make your own schedule and you're able to sign up for whatever classes you want. Your academic advisor, of course, helps you if you need or want that. But to complete your major, this is what you would need to do. You need to do these courses and then get the minimum number of credits. It works the same way with the minor. It's just the minor screen is a lot smaller. It has a lot fewer. You earn a credit by signing up for the class, finishing the class with a passing grade, and then you would get 1 credit for business pathways. All right, next question. Do we need to pay housing expenses during the summer break? Very good question. Yes, unless. So if you do choose to stay on campus, yes, in theory, you would need to pay the housing expenses. However, most international students who stay on campus during summer break do something with their time that is related to the university that pays for their housing. So for example, we have something called SOLs, which are student orientation leaders, or summer orientation leaders, I don't remember which, but they're basically the students that run orientation during the summer. So if that's something that you want to do, you can do that. I think it's like 10 hours per week, so like a part-time job to earn money, and then it would also cover your housing. So there are lots of different weird little experiences like that that you can find and sign up for and then do, and then that would cover your housing. I highly recommend that. That's what a lot of international students do during the summer. Next question, what's the maximum amount for the International Student Outreach Scholarship? $15,000 per year. Next question, is first year compulsory to stay in campus housing for international students? 99.5% yes. So yes, I should just say yes. However, there are exceptions. There is a UC housing exemption form if you think you're eligible for an exemption. Like, for example, if you have family living in the area, you can submit that form to live off campus. We've found that international students are much more successful when they live on campus their first year. They're able to integrate into the community, which is why it's mandatory. It's very common practice at all universities in the United States. Just academically, socially, it makes a huge difference for students, which is why it's compulsory. However, I do know that housing is a little bit tight, a little bit complicated, so they might be more flexible to housing exemptions if that's something that you apply for. I can't guarantee anything, so I'll just say yes, but you might be able to look at that. Next question. Is there any other scholarship the UC offered for international students besides the outreach scholarship that we've received the result for recently? So there are other scholarships. Currently, we are still evaluating what we want that to look like. In years past, there have been forms for students to apply through in order to receive those scholarships. That's probably not what it's going to look like this year. This year, we're probably going to do a continued holistic review and then send additional funds to students following that holistic review. So there is nothing that you can apply for at this moment. However, you may still receive scholarship emails with more scholarship offers in the future. So nothing to apply for, but we might reach out to you and say, we really like you. We really want you to be here. Here is some additional money. How does this help? Next question. As an international student, the maximum time I can work on the F1 visa is 1 year. What happens during the remaining co-op semesters then? Yeah, lots of thumbs up for this question. Great. So there are two different things called CPT and OPT as far as it relates to working in the United States. I don't remember exactly what the acronyms are. OPT is optional practical training. CPT is like cooperative or compulsory. I don't remember what CPT stands for. Sorry, I should know that. But basically, CPT is what you would complete during your co-op semesters. You have a certain amount of time that you can work in the United States as an F1 student. It is 1 year. So the CPT applies during those 3 co-op semesters. During the remaining co-op semesters, you have the opportunities to either do research or potentially to work on campus or do something in a lab or something like that. Or sometimes companies sponsor students to do research at the university, which is kind of like a loophole going around that where you're working for the company but earning money doing that. So sometimes students will travel abroad. So using myself as an example, I went to Argentina and worked there. Obviously, the United States, the CPT rules wouldn't apply to you if you did that. So a lot of international students will do international co-ops. We have very strong programs in Germany and Japan above all else, but then we have other countries. Like I said, I went to Argentina. So that's an option as well. A lot of students, thinking back to some of my friends, a lot of them would work in their home countries or would work for European countries during that time as well. I remember some Vietnamese friends that worked in Vietnam for some of their co-ops. Does the work time during co-ops count as the 1 year? That's pretty much the same question. So yes, it does. So the 3 are part of that. Yeah. Can international students arrive on campus before August? We do not guarantee you housing, so I would not recommend that. In theory, you can arrive in the city of Cincinnati and just hang out, but you would probably need to be in a hotel or staying with friends or family or something like that. So I would not recommend it. I would recommend arriving in August. When can a student start co-ops and how many times can a student do co-ops during the course of their studies? They can start co-ops as soon as their 3rd semester. So I don't have it pulled up here, but you would have fall semester in August as classes, spring semester in January as classes, and then starting that May, you can do your first co-op. You can take a break, you can do a co-op, you can stay on campus and work and be a student orientation leader. There's a lot of things you can do. How many times can you do co-ops? So you can do up to 5 or 6 co-ops. Again, so long as you're respecting the CPT and OPT rules. As the tenure of an F1 visa is 5 years and the computer science degree is 5 years long, so will we be provided with a year of work time or not? If not, what are our options? So there is OPT following the end of your earning your visa, and that is optional practical time once you graduate. For STEM majors, it is longer. It's 3 years. For non-STEM majors, it is 1 year. So that's regardless of the CPT. CPT is what you use while you're a current student. OPT is what's afterwards once you graduate. So you would still have that year of work time of OPT following graduation. In the scholarship, it's mentioned to provide community service, how to work on it since being an international student. Good question. There are lots of opportunities for there are lots of opportunities for community service through the University of Cincinnati. Like I mentioned before, there are portals for student organizations. Some of those student organizations offer opportunity, like there are just clubs and organizations that exist to be able to volunteer. So whether that's cleaning up the city, working at animal shelters, working at hospitals, there's lots of different things that you can do. Being an international student doesn't matter whatsoever. You just need to get a piece of paper and get someone at that organization at the animal shelter or whatever it is to sign the piece of paper saying, yes, this person volunteered. That's it. It's pretty simple. Since the math placement's been canceled, is there an alternative exam used at the university to determine students' abilities to place them in the right course? So there is, I don't know if it's still running. Good question. I think you can choose, yeah, Alex. You can choose to take the Alex test. Alex, preparation and learning. Yes. The answer is yes. You can choose to take that course. Okay. Have the fees for the summer bridge program been declared? I'm not sure about that. If you could email, then I'll look further into that or connect you with the right person. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry. Are we supposed to apply for housing every semester? If not, what if I do not want to live on campus during the summer break? So you apply for, it is by semester, yes. Generally speaking, first year students will stay in the same location for the entire year for both semesters. They will not need to leave after one semester. But if you do want to change, it's possible to change. If you don't want to live on campus during summer break, then that's totally fine because you have to apply to live on campus anyways. So yes, it is every semester, but priority goes to staying in the same place you're already staying. When the financial documents are submitted, should it cover full first year cost of attendance or only the net amount after deducting the scholarship? It is the net amount deducting the scholarship, Sohana. So it does not need to be the full amount. Including the scholarship, it should add up to the full amount. So basically, my co-op work time would be counted into the CPT, which occurs during the duration of the course, 5 years after my graduation. I would receive how many years of time to work on OPT. That depends on if you're in a STEM program or not. So US designated STEM, it depends on what you're studying, basically. So US designated STEM programs get more time for OPT. And there's a list here. So if any of these, let's see, it's last updated. So if you're studying anything like this, it's mostly like sciences, technology, engineering. List is kind of long. But if you're studying anything in here, then you would have 3 years instead of 1 year to work on OPT. Undersea warfare, oh my gosh. All right, I think that is all the questions. Oh, wait, no, I might have a few more in the different section of questions. No, I answered those already. Okay. Woo! Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a good rest of your day, rest of your evening. If you do have more questions, please feel free to send them in the chat, reach out, or I'm sorry, send them by email, reach out to your territory manager. I'll do my best to answer them as they come in, or the student ambassadors will answer them. I think I got everything. Very excited to see you all. Hope you have, yeah, I'm gonna send my email again. I put my email there before, but I'll put it in again. Okay, that's my email again. Woo. All right. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great day, as I said before. I'll upload this video or put it online so you can review it again. And if you have more questions, send them again. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.